our technology is no longer something, that anchor that we're pulling around. That's something that we just have to accommodate, that's slowing us. Instead, it's something that's empowering us. It's freeing us up to make the right business decision instead of something that's based on the technology that we have in place. So I'm Mike Flynn, Enterprise Architect at Collibra, and we're a data intelligence platform. So we're helping organizations understand their data and how to manage it. And I have been tasked at Collibra we're a rapidly growing company. We need to scale with technology, not by throwing people and money at problems. And part of that is by making our enterprise architecture talk to one another, create that unified experience. If you go back 5 years ago, we were a 150-person company. Last year, we were a 600-person company. Today, we're a 1,000-person company. 2 years from now, we'll be a 2,000-person company or greater. The way our company has evolved over time is that we had individual lines of businesses selecting tools to run their business. We are now have a central Salesforce team and a central NetSuite team, but even having that being managed by one team, we have to connect these systems together and really make it so that the business process is system agnostic, team agnostic, and by using an automation platform, we can automate that business process to go across technologies and across teams and scale with the future growth of our company. We were looking for not only a tool to connect our systems together, but also help us with the operations and maintaining our systems and what's happening, be able to go back and inspect how these things were communicating and rerun the individual jobs, and then add automation to do that automatically and just notify us when there's an incident. So I have been a Workato customer previously for 5 years. I have a lot of experience working with the people and the technology. And when we were looking to evaluate a new iPaaS system at Collibra, we wanted to keep in mind that past experience, but then also look at all the players out there. So one of the first things we did is who are the leaders in the iPaaS market? And so looking at that Gartner tree, you'll see MuleSoft, Jitterbit, Boomi, SnapLogic, and these were all contenders. We took the top 5 contenders, we started engaging all of their teams. And the first thing we were evaluating is the ability to partner. How easy was it to get in front of a sales engineer to help us set up a process, start getting information about when we're building this, what did the support look like? How easy could we get help along the way? The second part is we had 3 use cases we were evaluating, and we built all 3 use cases and all these platforms. And it was very apparent when you try to build these use cases, how easy the platform was to use. And so very quickly, within the first week or 2, you could see people starting to drop out. Bad experience, not able to connect or get response to support requests. Difficulty getting people to understand what is happening or how to build it without a lot of help. And then we had a bunch of evaluation criteria we were looking at. I kind of mentioned the 3 categories about what our team looks like. What do we need dedicated engineers to be working on this? Is this something eventually we could take to other maybe technical minded users across our company, and then maybe even more of a true citizen population? We were looking at that. That's part of what does our team look like in using this platform. But then we also had very specific criteria when we're looking at the event-based architecture. We are looking for some specific capabilities. We were also looking at different automation capabilities because we didn't want just an integration platform. We wanted to be able to do automation. Our team members had way more success in Workato. They had less frustrations in implementing their solutions, and they felt more comfortable and confident in what they had built in Workato than some of the other platforms. That was the tipping point. When we came into the meeting after after we had evaluated all these different platforms and we came back in, we sat the team down and everyone was just sharing their experience. Workato had a very positive feel. Now, granted, my team was the one that was going to be owning the platform and developing most of the solutions, but we needed to partner with some of these other people in developing these solutions. And it just told us what we already kind of suspected, that Workato's the way that they simplified the triggers and actions, that nomenclature, they regardless of what system you're connecting to, into that similar language. It was more easy to understand. And after the job ran, it was easier to see what had happened. And that was ultimately the tipping point. It just the automation teams, the enterprise automation teams preference matched with the other users that one day we hope to go reach through that citizen automation program. Building the solution is maybe a day, a week, a month, but you are often supporting this thing for years after the fact. And so we need a solution that's going to help us not only in the development phase, but then also that long-term phase where you're keeping it operational. And the difference between a lot of these systems is in the deployment, having the visibility into what's happening, what's failed. And a big differentiator for Workato is the recipe ops, that not only do I have visibility into what's happening, but when there is a failure, I can build automation on top of that to recover from that failure or to notify someone that that failure happened. And that's something that no other platform has. The technologies we're using today are better suited for a tool like Workato than are the more legacy systems and tools that may be situated for an RPA tool. Most technologies have APIs and connectors now. Workato takes use of that. Even our RPA team, once we got 9 months into that, I started showing them Workato. They're now using Workato to deliver on that citizen automation program. My hesitancy about doing too much around RPA is that if you have a bad process, and there's a lot of things, especially in finance, where you export data and you're putting it through these monstrous Excel sheets to transform the data to get results out of. And if you're using RPA to pull out that data and do that transformation for you, only now at a larger scale, it's now even harder to break out of that. It's almost like pouring concrete around a bad process and locking it into place, as opposed to using a tool that gives you that more flexibility going forward. I think it just muddies the water a little bit. It's almost like instead of changing the vision, the mindset around why you use a tool and looking at what's the use case you're trying to solve, is RPA the best fit, or is it just that buzzword term that you've heard before associated with automation? When the budget was made for this, it was for an integration middleware. It's kind of what it was geared towards, and maybe even some professional services to bring in, because of where my company was at that time. We didn't know if we could even build a team around this. As we got into it, and because of my past experience knowing what Workato can be at an organization, I came in and I started talking about an automation platform, not just an integration platform. That's where we really planted this vision about, we are not just using this as a middleware to connect our systems together, but as a tool to drive the growth of our company, to scale with us as our business scales and our employee count grows. We have a technology that can support that, not just an integration system connecting Salesforce and NetSuite. We're making our company more efficient so that we're not spending time processing orders, closing the books at the end of the month. We're using our automation platform to boost where we're going with the company, not holding it back from the growth that we want to achieve. But one thing where I get benefit from Workato personally, as someone who has spent a career in software engineering, is the recipe ops functionality in Workato, because really that's the ability for me to automate my job in maintaining something that's been built or monitoring something that's out there in the wild. And recipe ops is a way to automate my job, so I'm not doing those tedious activities that come along with delivering a technology. I can spend my time in building new solutions and working with people, as opposed to monitoring a process that's out there running. On average, teams are switching between apps 25 times a day, and that's too much context switching. What we did a lot is keep people where they're working. And instead of having the hunt for information, bring it into Slack, and especially through the work bot. You know, if someone says, hey, this order doesn't look right, instead of having to switch over to Salesforce, we would build something in the work bot to say, go check the order. You know, you put the order number in and boom, it does that check for you. And maybe even sends it to the person that originally sent you, or even better, they could do it without having to contact you in the first place. So big proponent of Workbot. Just because we use Slack so much, it makes sense to keep people in there and give the tools in there, not to replace Salesforce, but just to make it a easier interface to getting the information out. I would say the biggest benefit for what we're doing with Workato at Collibra is when we are having conversations about future directions of technology, when we're talking about bringing something new in or modifying something that's already in place, there's less fear of changing something that's working today because we know that we have a solution that can be flexible enough to change with us.